Welcome back to Vuln Vibes. Today we're doing a deep dive into CVE 2025-32428.
Ah, yes, the Jupyter Remote Desktop Proxy issue.
Exactly, and it's carrying a pretty hefty CVSS v4 score 9.0.
Yeah, that certainly flags it as critical, something IT security folks definitely need to be aware of.
For sure. So the core issue seems to be, well, unintentional network exposure.
Right. Specifically when using TigerVNC with the Jupyter Remote Desktop Proxy extension.
And this extension, just for context, its job is to give you that graphical desktop inside a Jupyter notebook, right?
Correct. Using VNC, but crucially proxied supposedly securely.
Supposedly being the key word here, because starting with version 3.0.0, they changed things.
They did. They moved towards using UNX domain sockets.
Which sounds like a good thing. Better user isolation, stop external network access.
That was absolutely the intention. Keep everything locked down locally on the server. Standard practice for tightening things up.
But there's always a but.
Well, yeah. The problem pops up if the VNC server you choose happens to be TigerVNC.
Ah, so what does TigerVNC do differently?
It seems it just ignores that UNIX socket configuration entirely.
Ignores it. So instead of the secure local socket...
It just opens up a regular TCP network port directly.
Okay. Well, that kind of defeats the purpose of the change, doesn't it?
Completely. It bypasses the intended isolation. The VNC session is suddenly just there on the network.
Exposed to anyone else on that same network segment?
Precisely. It circumvents the whole proxy security layer, which, really highlights something important.
What's that?
You can't just assume components will behave as configured. You need to verify the actual behavior.
Good point. And the sources were clear. This isn't all VNC servers doing this.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's specific to TigerVNC in this setup. If you're using TurboVNC as the backend,
Okay.
should be, yes. TurboVNC apparently respects the UNIX socket setting, behaves itself.
Okay, so that's a key distinction for listeners. Check your VNC backend.
Definitely. It shows how, implementing details between similar tools can have really different security outcomes.
Let's talk about the risk then, especially in, say, shared environments.
Yeah.
Universities, cloud Jupyter hubs.
Yeah, that's where it gets particularly nasty.
Yeah.
Because now you have potentially untrusted users on the same network.
And if one of them finds this open TigerVNC port?
They could potentially connect directly to another user's Linux desktop session. Unauthorized remote access.
Oof, that sounds like a springboard for, well, lots of bad things.
Oh, yeah. Lateral movement is the big one. Get into one session, maybe pivot to others. Data exfiltration, obviously.
Privilege escalation. Session hijacking.
All possible once you have that initial foothold. It's a classic attack pattern entry point.
It really shows how even with layers, one unexpected hole can appear.
Exactly. And it might not even be a malicious outsider. In shared setups, it could just be one user accidentally or curiously accessing another session. Still unauthorized.
Okay, so let's bottom line this. If you're running Jupyter Remote Desktop Proxy version 3.0.0,
and you're using TigerVNC as the back-end VNC server,
and maybe your network firewall rules aren't super strict between users or systems on that segment,
then yes, you are potentially vulnerable to this. You need to look into it.
but there's good news, right? A patch is out.
There is. Version 3.0.1 of Jupyter Remote Desktop Proxy fixes this vulnerability. Looks like the devs were pretty quick on it.
Okay, so the immediate action item for listeners is clear.
Check your version. If it's 3.0.0 and you use TigerVNC, upgrade to 3.0.1 immediately.
That closes the network exposure gap.
It does. It just reinforces that, you need constant vigilance, understanding how all these pieces interact.
You can't just set security controls and assume they work perfectly with every underlying component.
Never assume. Always verify. And maybe think about your internal network segmentation too. What assumptions are baked into your setup that this kind of issue might challenge?
That's a great question to leave folks with. Check your versions, check your backends, and maybe reevaluate those internal trust assumptions.
Sound advice.